So when we look at banking sector over the last 10, 12 years, you will invariably find that private banks have gained market share consistently year after year. So if I were to look at 2010, the private bank market share, be it in deposit share or be it in loan share, they were somewhere at around 17% market share in terms of deposits and closer to 12 percentage kind of a market share in terms of loans that we're trying to look at, right? 12 years down the line, that is today, as we are trying to look at, the market share in terms of deposits has increased to 31%, and in case of loans is increased to 36% kind of a number that is there. And we assess that private banks would continue to gain market share even for the next 10 years that we are trying to look at, and by 2030 we will be 50% private and 50% PSUs, be it for loans or for deposits. And that is where we find that investing in private banks, particularly large private banks which have a fairly good wherewithal to grow, is a fantastic investment hypothesis over the next 5 to 7 year perspective that we're trying to look at. And that is where we're fairly optimistic on the overall private bank investment hypothesis which is there. Importantly, most of these banks have been able to, or rather, were required to raise capital during COVID times, because the regulator, that is RBI, asked them to actually cushion their balance sheet because of the uncertainty that was there during COVID. And also that since the implementation of IBC, there has been a lot of cleanup, and during COVID there has been a lot of provisioning that many of these banks have had, and that is where you have today banks which are fairly well capitalized. They are over provided in terms of the loan defaults that you are trying to look at, and the credit growth of the country is improving. And in that kind of an environment, we find that the overall banks can actually do very well relative to the markets from a next 3 to 4 year perspective that we're trying to look at. And that is where we're fairly excited on banking as a sector, and in that particularly private banks is something that we continue to back for the next 5 to 7 years.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार के जोखिमों के अधीन है। स्कीम संबंधी सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।